Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we are continuing right from where we left off on the beginner's guide. Today we're going to be covering a pretty big topic. A topic that it's so big it's going to be covered into two different videos. This is going to be the first part. The other part I will record at a different time. But if you're completely new to this game, or even if you're kind of not new but you're still learning the ropes, this video will be really helpful for you. And yeah, so today we're going to be talking about runes. Now, in this specific video, we will be covering sets, main stats, and star grade. All these things are super important for reasons that we will talk about in a second. And in a different video, we will cover rarities and substats because I feel like those go together pretty well. But yeah, let's get into it. So first, obviously, how to access your runes. I'm pretty sure you know when you're in this screen, you go to runes and here. So, let's get into it. What are sets, right? That's the first question we're going to be asking. What is a set? Now, a set is when you get a specific amount of runes together to get a bonus. These bonuses tend to change depending on the category of rune, meaning energies that fall under energy, or the energy category, but you wouldn't say category, you would just say energy. Here, blade runes, swift runes, they all have different bonuses. And each bonuses are only activated with a certain amount of runes. Some of them are different. Some of them are 2 sets. Some of them are 4 sets. Now, to see how many set runes or runes you need for a specific set and what bonus is applied, is you can go onto this screen. So let's say I want to figure out what a nemesis rune does. I go click on nemesis, and it says attack gauge plus 4% for every 7% of HP loss. And it gets more specific. You can click on the question mark right by it. Engraving 2 pieces of this rune will allow the monster to fill up 4% of its attack bar whenever it loses 7% HP. So, pretty decent. And right above it, you see Nemesis 2 set. Basically meaning, hey, this Nemesis, you need 2 Nemesis runes on this monster at all times to get this bonus. The instant you take off any of these runes, the bonus will be lost. Obviously, you have to apply the exact number that it tells you to, otherwise you will not get the bonus. So don't think, hey, if I put 1 of the nemesis runes, will I get like 2% attack gauge? No, you won't. It's either you get all the bonus or none. That applies pretty much in the same, but in like reverse. So don't think that putting 3 nemesis runes will get you like 6% attack gauge. It's either 4% or 0. And I'm just stating that for some of those people that may be like, oh, what if? No, it's no what ifs. This is exactly what it is like. Now, another question you might have is like, what if I put 4 nemesis runes? Then you will get double of the thing. Equipping multiple sets will stack up the rune set bonus, available at Farron Castle or Necropolis. So, having 6 nemesis runes will, yes, get you 12% attack gauge for every 7% HP loss, which is pretty big. So, that's its own thing. So, a phrase you might hear as you're playing the game is broken set. Now, you're like, what's a broken set, right? So, we're going to go use this for this low elemental for a second as an example. So, we're going to do this and that. Now, let's say for right now, I know we have this one, but we're not going to apply it just for the sake of explaining it. We have these runes, right? Obviously, we still need more crit rate. You could get crit rate by applying, another blade rune. Doing this, boom. Now you have 75% crit rate. Now, let's say, you're much further into the game, and you understand that 75% crit rate for some people is just not enough. You want a little bit more. You want like 80 or 90, or if potentially 100%. So you're trying to give yourself as much crit rate as possible. What if I told you that there is another way to get more crit rate, but you're not going to get it through the blade runes? This is kind of what a broken set would be, is by getting another rune that won't necessarily help complete the set, but I believe it won't necessarily help complete the set, but it will give you the stats you need. So, for example, looking at these 2 runes, you could see that the vampire rune gives much more crit rate than the blade set does. See, because the slot 6 attack percent blade rune has no passive crit rate. So the only crit rate you're even getting by equipping that rune is the 12% that you're getting off of the set. But since this rune has 16%, that is a total of 4% more. So at the end of the day, you're leaving with much more crit rate. You're leaving with 79%. Now 79% is like whatever. Some people would be like, oh, I'd still take it, right? And I don't blame them. But this is kind of like what broken sets would be like. It's you're wanting to get the most amount of stats. You don't really care about completing sets, especially if the set you're completing is not going to give you the stats you want. But if throwing on random runes that don't even complete sets give you much more stats, that's what you're going to want to do. So sometimes it does call for it to throw on a broken set or whatever. But again, a broken set is pretty much where you don't have all the runes needed to complete the set and to get its bonus. But moving on. Main stats. Now main stats are pretty common. You should know about this from the get-go. The main stat is kind of what you see here. So the attack plus 160%, or 160, not 160%. That would be crazy though. But 160 is the main stat. The attack 63%, 160, so on and so forth. All those big numbers, that's the main stat. Now a main stat does change depending on the runes. Like slots 2, 4, and 6, you can get a variety of main stats. But on slots 1, 3, and 5, in case you didn't know, slots 1, 3, and 5 will always be the same main stat. So as you can see, it will always be flat attack. You cannot get flat defense. You cannot get flat HP. Or you can't even get any percentages. It will always be a flat stat. And it will always be the same one flat stat. So it'll on slot 1 is always attack, flat attack. Slots 3 is always going to be flat defense. And slots 5 will always be flat HP. Though, that is not the same for slots 2, 4, and 6. Slots 2, 4, and 6 can be different stats. They can also be flats. We recommend that you don't use flats. But they can be percentages, and some of them even have their own unique main stats. So we're going to actually go through each rune and kind of like look at what its unique stat is. So on top of 2, 4, and 6, all those slots can all get flat attack, HP, and defense, as well as percentages. So HP percent, attack percent, and defense percent. Each one has their own unique stat. So for slot 2, that unique stat is speed. You cannot get speed as a main stat on any other rune. Any other rune. It's always going to be slot 2. So slots 4 and 6 cannot get speed. Slots 4, while they cannot get speed, they can get crit rate and crit damage. And like with slot 2, you cannot get this on any of the other slots, only slot 4. So don't think that, okay, I'll go slot 2 speed, slot 4 crit rate, and then slot 6 crit damage. It's not going to happen. You can only get these 2 stats on this. Now, that's not to say that you can't get it in subs. Obviously, you can get it in subs, but we're talking about main stats here, right? Slot 6, you can only get resistance and accuracy. Now, for a new player, this may not seem like a good main stat to keep. Accuracy and resistance, you're like, I'll just get it in sub stats, yada yada. I'm not worried about it. I'm a person who uses accuracy in the subs, as you can clearly see. Or did I click subs? Okay, no. I'm a person who clearly uses it. I love using accuracy in slot 6 because I know that when I'm farming runes, I'll aim for like HP in the substats. So you see, it's like I'm making up for my HP through substats right here. So it's like the monster's still relatively tanky, and plus I have decent accuracy. It could be better, but I don't really care. But accuracy is always a good one. Resistance is always pretty decent. Again, for like a rune like this, if I know that I can make up HP percent in the subs, then I'll easily go for resistance or accuracy or whatever. I mean, resistance plus what, like 63, 68, whatever, 80% is pretty big. I mean, you're talking about you'd be able to prevent tons of debuffs from coming in, and generally you won't start using resistance probably till like PvP or guild battles or whatever, when you feel like it starts mattering. But I suggest keeping them. You might not use them. You can sell them if you want, but I'm keeping mine. I think it's completely worth it. But those are the main stats. So last but not least, we're going to be talking about star grade. Now, star grade is a pretty big deal when it comes to runes. So on the screen, I'm going to have a bit of math for you. I'm going to throw a bit of math. So here's what the HP percent of a 6-star rune looks like on the main stat, right? HP plus 63%. If you're new to the game, you might not realize it, or you might. You probably will realize it, that the star grade affects the main stats and the property ranges of each and every rune. So if you have a 1-star rune, the property ranges for the main and the substats are going to be really, really low. Like, crazy low. I had a 1-star rune. I guess I sold it. I had a 1-star rune for this video, but I sold it, I guess. But the property ranges were so low. I'm talking about from like 1 point intervals or 1 point property ranges. So when like the substat would increase, it would only increase the substat by 1 point, which is awful, awful, awful. And the main stat was terrible. For a 1-star rune, an HP percent slot 4 at level 15, yes, I got one to plus 15, was 11%. I believe it was 11%. No, it was 15%, I think. Gosh, you know what? Okay, you know what? I'll get one and I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Okay, we're here. Let me tell you, it was in that plus 12, just failing the upgrade every time. So it's plus 18. So, here you go, plus 18%. Also, look at those substats. Those substats are terrible. And when you click and hold on the substats, by the way, it shows you the property ranges. Look at that property range. Oh, so even if it was somehow a legendary 1-star rune, the property ranges would be god-awful on them. Versus, like, this, where the property ranges aren't only higher, but the main stat is better. So this is what I was telling you. Like, the star grade means something. So, for example, look at the defense percent. It's 5% through 8%. On here, though, on the 5-star rune, it's 4% through 7%. And it may not seem like such a big deal. And technically, between a 5-star and a 6-star rune, I'd say just go for either. But for a lot of people, especially when you start entering like the PvP phase and all that of your journey, you're talking about every little percent matters. And when you're talking about getting the highest rolls and everything, this could mean the difference between being just tanky enough to take a couple hits or just getting like one-shotted, I guess, to some people. And this is not just for like the percentages. I mean, you're talking about speed substats. I mean, a speed roll, imagine like it feels like a 5-star rune. What would that be, like 3% through 5%? Or 3 to 5 just flat. You're talking about 3-4 points of speed per rune for some people. So that you're talking about 20-30 points in speed when you're talking about an entire 6 runes. I mean, or 5 runes. 5, 6 depending. It means the world, right? So, for star grades, I'd say stick with 5-star or 6-star runes. Anything under that is trash immediately from the get-go. I don't care how perfect it is. It's trash from the get-go, because you're talking about, like, look at this, too. Like, the max, level or percentage of the main stat. I mean, you're talking about 51%, and then to a 6-star, 63%. That's a whole 12% difference. It's such a big difference. So it does matter. Gosh, 51 and 63%. That's 1 star. So yeah, that's basically what I wanted to talk about, at least in this video. I don't know if this is a short video or a long video. I lost track of time. But in the next video, we will be covering rarities and substats. That will be much longer, but I think it's something worth learning. So I hope you learned something in this video. If not, I apologize, but at the very least, someone probably did. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. I'm going to sell this crappy rune. Bye.